My name is Josh Asbury. I'm the COO here at Infinity Software Solutions. I think I've spoken with most everybody who's registered. If not, we need to fix that and schedule a meeting just so we can get to know each other. Joining us on today's call is Forrest Wheeler, who is our head of account management and support. Forrest is going to be taking a few minutes today to run through the QuickBooks integration with BrokerPro and discuss how to use it, common mishaps, common things that go sideways, things like that. So hopefully this will be a good educational session for everyone. And again, please come with questions over the course of the presentation by Forrest, and also, ensure that at the end of this, any issues you have, anything that's come up along the way is addressed. We want to make these sessions interactive and beneficial for you. And during the BrokerPro 5.0 overview webinar that I did a few weeks ago, I announced that we're going to be doing these lunch and learn sessions. The goal is bi-weekly based on everybody's interest and based on attendees, really. So we're going to record these. I want to make sure that this stuff is available for everybody on our customer resources pages. So in the chat, I will be putting up a poll here at some point during the webinar, asking what types of things you would like to see during the next session or the session after that. So please let us know. Let us know what's useful. These sessions are intended for you, and we want to make sure that you get the most out of these, out of this time that you're graciously giving us. So all that said, I will stop sharing my one contribution to this webinar and hand the baton over to Forrest.
Good deal. Well, today, like Josh said, we're going to go over the QuickBooks Online integration. Kind of the idea behind this integration as a whole is you would do your accounting processes through BrokerPro, and then you would transfer over invoices, receipts, bills, or bill payments into your QuickBooks after you got finished with the process through BrokerPro. So first, I'm going to take you guys through the customer side of invoicing first within BrokerPro, and then I'll show you guys the process of what it would take to get over into your QuickBooks Online. So first steps first, if you wanted to go invoice a customer, you would go to the accounting here at the very top of the navigation bar. You would go under customer, and you would have a print invoices section here.
So I'm going to select all these loads here to invoice. And then at the very top, you guys will notice that there's a print selected invoices button here. So I'm going to click on that, and it will ask you basically what you want your invoice date to be and whether or not you want this to be a master invoice. And so whenever you make the selection here, you can hit yes. And when you do, it will generate the PDFs of the invoices for you. And so you can see here now I have 5 different sets of invoices. And if I click X off of this, you guys will notice it will ask me if I want to print out a load of like an invoice summary that will basically tally up the amount due on all these invoices. If you want to send it over or keep it for your own records, you can either hit yes or no on this. This is up to you. And whenever you do that, it will apply those invoices to the load. So if I went back to any of those orders, you guys would notice that all of those are invoiced now. I'll just go back to the load list just so I can show you guys real quick. So you can see here, I have all these invoiced. So if I click inside of one of these orders, you guys will notice here at the top, there will be an invoice day and the past due on, as well as the load statuses and an invoice. So now if I wanted to transfer over all 5 of those invoices into QuickBooks, I could simply just go to the accounting tab here at the very top of the navigation bar and go to QuickBooks Online and then select export invoices. And now from here, I would just select the date range of those invoices. So since all of those were on the 2nd, I'm going to select the 2nd. And whenever I hit export invoices here, it will tell you however many invoices are being sent over into your QuickBooks. And then we have a reporting section inside of BrokerPro as well. So you can tell without even going into your QuickBooks what happened to that transaction here. So I can go to here, select the status, and you can see here, these are the successful invoices that I have that should be over in my QuickBooks now. So if I take one of these invoice numbers, go into my QuickBooks instance over here. This is my sandbox that I have set up here. This is just the home page, but you can search by invoice number through here at the top, or go to the invoice section within QuickBooks and you can search for it there as well. So you can type in the invoice number and it will show you the invoice that's inside of QuickBooks. And when I click on it, it will open up that PDF of the invoice. So you can see here, it's just a flat rate for $1,000, and there's a discount inside of here. So it's a $980 total balance due. my customer. So now if I wanted to go ahead and apply receipts to these, I could go back into BrokerPro. Let's just say, for example, I'll receive money from my customer for these orders here. I could go to the accounting drop down here at the very top of BrokerPro, go to customer, and then we have an add receipt section here as well. And so when I load this up, it will show you all the open invoices that you have inside the system. The ones in red are past due. And so if you need to filter it down, you can come here at the top and you can select whatever customer you want to filter it down by. You also can filter this by invoice date, the due date on the invoice, the ship date, or the delivery date on the load as well if you need to. But from here, I'd basically find those orders that I just invoiced, which are these here at the top. And let's just say, for example, I received money from the customer on all 4 of these orders here. If it was for everything on here, I could just hit receive all at the top. But if not, you can just hit this little dollar icon here and it will autofill the amount due on the receipt. And so if I wanted to go ahead and add the receipt to the load, I could go ahead and hit add receipt. If I need to resend these invoices back to my customer to let them know that they still need to pay these, I could select these right here and then just hit the resend invoices button here at the top and it would resend these invoices over to the customer as well. But when I had add receipt here, it's going to load up a UI that will ask you for the check numbers. So if you want to apply the same check number for each of these, you can through here. And then it asks you if you want to set the status of this load basically to paid, like you receive money from your customer. And then you would just select whatever the date is on the check. So I'm just going to select today and hit add receipts. And the system will automatically generate you a report here as well that you can look at that will show you basically all the receipts that you just added to that order. So here it is. You can just click on the URL and it will open it up in a different PDF for you. And it will just show you the amount of gross profit you have for these loads as well. And then getting the receipts over, it's pretty similar to the invoice side of things. You just need to make sure with the QuickBooks Online that you do it in the right order, right? Like if you tried to export a receipt before you exported the corresponding invoice, it would error out because the receipt doesn't have anything to attach to. So since I've already exported the invoices, I can go ahead and export the receipts over there as well if I need to. I just use the accounting drop down at the top, go to QuickBooks Online, select export customer receipts. And the dialog is pretty similar to what you guys seen before. You would just select the date range of whatever you want to bring over into QuickBooks. Hit export receipts here, and you can see here it picked up 4 different receipts to be exported into QuickBooks Online. Now with online, it just automatically goes over there. You don't have to run anything. It just automatically happens, but you can go to this report section like I showed you before for the receipts, and it will show you what happened with those receipts, whether or not there was an error. And most of the time it's something simple like a 0 amount or missing a pickup date, for example. But if it's something that you have no idea about, we encourage you guys to give us a call. We're the first line of defense when it comes to the QuickBooks Online integration. So you can call me at any time. I'll be more than happy to help you through these if you can't figure it out. Now all these receipts have exported successfully. So now if I needed to, I could go back into my QuickBooks instance and I could look at some of those invoices and they should show up as paid. So let's type in one of those invoice numbers here. So you can see here, it will automatically switch the payment status to paid for you as well. And update the invoice. So it's kind of hands off. You don't have to go in here and manually update this invoice to show that it's paid. Say the system will do it for you automatically. And so that's the customer side of just the accounting and the process of sending it over into QuickBooks Online. Now, if we were going to do the carrier side of this, I'll enter in some freight bills for these loads as well, just so you guys can see this as well. And then I'll send over some bills into QuickBooks Online too. The process is pretty similar. You would just go to accounting here at the very top of the software, go under carriers and say we have an enter freight bill section here. Now this will probably take a second to load because we have tens of thousands of carriers inside of here. So I'm just going to limit it down to make it a little bit easier to digest. I'm going to select what carrier I want to enter these bills in for. And this will show me every load that I still haven't entered in a carrier invoice for this specific customer. So if I need to, I can filter this down a bit better. So let's say, for example, maybe I just want to see all the ones that had the invoice date of 1002. So here's the 4 loads that I invoiced earlier. So if I wanted to apply carrier invoices to these 4 orders here, I could simply enter in the bill number. And whenever you hit the bill receive date, it will actually automatically fill out your bill due date. And if you guys are curious where that comes from, inside of each carrier profile, there's a section here for pay in days. And so that's what determines basically what the due date is whenever you enter in the receive date. And you can change these on like in your account settings that will make it so every new carrier will have the same pay in days, or you can change this on a carrier by carrier basis as well. So I'm just going to finish up entering in the rest of these bill numbers. And then when you get finished entering in the bills for the orders, you can simply just hit Save Freight Bills here at the top of the software. And now the system has already applied those bills to the loads. So now if I wanted to go ahead and send over those bills that I just entered in on the orders to QuickBooks Online, I just go to accounting here at the top again, go to QuickBooks Online, and then export bills. Now from here, it works exactly the same way as what I showed you guys before, except for the bill date. So I would select the bill dates that I want to send over into QuickBooks. And you can see here, it will tell me however many bills get added to the job list to be sent over. It works the same way here. So we have a report section for bills as well. So I can go to the bill report section here and I can see what happened to those transactions I just sent over. And then it works the same way as far as searching this within your QuickBooks. If I wanted to go search for any of these bills within QuickBooks, give me a second because I closed the tab. So now back in QuickBooks, if I wanted to search for some of these bill numbers, I could go back here at the top again. Just paste in one of those bill numbers and it should go up here for me. So I can see I have the bill 543535643 for B trucking. I can click on that and that'll take me directly to the vendor in that bill. And this is how it would show up inside your QuickBooks. And it would have your services on here as well. Say on this load, I just had one flat rate value. It would also have any discounts on here that you had on the order as well. Now, if I want to go ahead and pay these bills out, show that I've already paid these carriers, I could just go back into the software again, go back to accounting here at the very top, go to carriers and then pay carriers. Now from here, it works similarly to the interfreight bill section. You can limit it down by a specific carrier if you want to. So I'm just searching for B trucking, which are these 4 bills that I have here, or 5. And if I wanted to show that I've already paid these orders, I could just go ahead and hit pay all here at the top. Or I could just manually select the ones I want to show as paid. And we'll tally it up down here at the bottom, whatever that grand total is. Whenever you get finished, you can just hit print checks. And from here, you would just select your payment method, whether or not it's check, or if you're using our ACH integration, you can select ACH. And from here, you would select the bank account on the dropdown. And you could either group this check by the carrier or the payee information. So if you wanted to pay out just a bunch of factoring companies at once for all these loads, you could do that as well if you needed to. And then you would just hit print checks here. Now, some people print checks out of our system. If you need to, you can print the check directly from here. There's also an option for you to automatically queue the check inside of QuickBooks as well. So whenever we send this over, it would automatically print it for you too. So if I wanted to go ahead and send these over into QuickBooks, it'd be a similar process, but let me show you guys this first. Whenever you get done paying the carriers, it will ask you if you basically want a check register report, a load settlement report, or a carrier settlement report. And it will show you basically the full amount that's on that check. And then for the load settlement, it will basically give you individual load summaries of how much you paid and what check number is on that order itself. And you can keep these for your internal records if you need to. You can download or print them here at the top right-hand corner at any time. But if I want to go ahead and send these over into my QuickBooks, it's a pretty similar process. I just go to the accounting drop down here at the top, go back to QuickBooks Online, export bills. Works the same way. You just type in the bill dates. So all these were 1002, so I'm going to select 1002 here. And we'll tell you how many is being sent over if there are any, which I think on this one, maybe I used a different date range. And then here it will show you if they've went over or not. Let me do the bill payments as well, though. So the bill payments works the same way. I just go to QuickBooks Online, export bill payments, and then it shows you the notification with how many that you queued up. Works exactly the same way. I just go to the bill payment report section here. And I can see whether or not that these went over successfully. And then on the QuickBooks side of things, it works the exact same as what it does for the invoice side. If I went back to any of these carrier bills within the system, within QuickBooks, you guys will notice now that if I search for any of these, all these should show up as paid. So you can see at the top right-hand side that it is paid. So you're good to go on that. And say I haven't looked, Josh, but does anybody have any questions so far as this goes?
There's no questions in the chat, but if anybody wants to fire away, feel free to put it in the chat or take yourself off mute. Again, I want to make sure that any questions you have are answered here. It'll be good to play Stump the Chump with Forrest.
For sure. But say that's kind of just a quick rundown of most of the BrokerPro functionality with QuickBooks Online. About the only thing I didn't go over was just some of the settings that you can toggle on and off. But most of that we help you set up at the beginning of the integration, so it wouldn't be something that you would have to focus on. But that's a quick rundown of the process as a whole through BrokerPro.
So, Forrest, I do have one question which might be useful for everybody. You're running the front line of support, and what do you see as some of the most common issues that people experience with QuickBooks that they might be able to self-service themselves on, as opposed to opening a ticket and needing to come to us and wait for an answer?
For sure. So most of the time that I see errors, usually the most common ones is similar to what I was saying. Kind of halfway through this, where you'll see sometimes that people try to export receipts before they export the corresponding invoice. But then on the carrier side, some people try to export the bill payment before exporting the bill. Most of the time, it just seems like the kind of the order of operations is kind of off, and that's when errors seem to occur. The most common ones that I see, at least. Outside of that, usually it's something very easy, like you've done a zero amount, maybe it's a prepaid load, and you put in a zero amount and didn't realize that it was a prepaid load, for example, and you can't export something that's a zero amount for an invoice into QuickBooks. That's relatively common. Also, another common error I see is some people don't put in like pickup dates on specific loads for one reason or another, and so you got to have a pickup date to be able to send it over into QuickBooks as well. I'd say those are probably the most common ones that I run into. Outside of that, it's usually maybe the carrier or a customer isn't syncing correctly to a customer or a vendor inside of your QuickBooks. Maybe some kind of information, like as far as on the payee side, might be a little bit different than what's inside of the system. I see that pretty regularly too, as far as that goes. I would say those are definitely the main ones that are pretty common that most people run into. You just need to ensure that your vendors and your customers have the same information as the ones that you're entering inside of BrokerPro so they can link up properly.
Got it. And kind of a follow-up to that is, knowing that we have a couple of our customers are use multi-currency. What are some of the common issues that you'll see with multi-currency customers? Canadians going into America and vice versa.
Yeah, so I won't say it's too much with QuickBooks Online. The good thing about QuickBooks Online is it actually can automatically update exchange rates, provincial tax rates like that. So I don't see this too much from the online side, but I will say on the desktop side, I see it pretty frequently where people aren't like updating their provincial tax rates or their exchange rates. And so they're having to go back through whenever they do reconciliation at the end of the month and enter in, proper exchange rates for the desktop side, because it doesn't automatically update those exchange rates or provincial tax rates for you. So I see that as probably the most frequent thing for the Canadian clients that I deal with, especially using QuickBooks Desktop. With online, you won't have to worry about that because it will just automatically do it for you and keep it up to date for you as well. So I think that's a really cool functionality about QuickBooks Online. It's just a more seamless process as a whole.